Hey there, I'm Megan, an inbound marketer at HubSpot, and I'm going to show you how I use HubSpot to execute a marketing campaign from start to finish. My marketing campaign starts with an offer that I hope will pull people into my site and get them interested in HubSpot as a company. In this case, the offer is an ebook about dynamic content in marketing. The first thing I'm going to want to do with my ebook is to give it a landing page to live on. With HubSpot, I can easily create a landing page without having to go through IT or code up a bunch of templates. All of it is built in right for me. And what's cool is that the templates are all responsive and they work on mobile right out of the box. The other nice thing about HubSpot landing pages is that social media is completely integrated into it, your forums are completely integrated into it, and so your landing page really becomes the headquarters of your campaign. As I update my landing page and add in content that I want, I can see a live preview over on the right to see how that content is going to look in real time. So here I'm just going to give my readers a sense of what's in the ebook, why they might want to download it, and why I put so much work into it to make it the perfect piece of content that everyone will love. This is what my landing page looks like live. One thing you'll notice is that while there's a long form for people who view the landing page for the first time, when you come back, any field that a lead has already filled out can be removed from the form automatically. On the flip side, this is the view that I see as a marketer on how well my page is performing. I can see the visits, submissions, new contacts, even customers that have come in through this page. And I can also see a listing of all the people who I've generated through this page, because we're tied into the contacts database, which you'll hear a little bit more about later on. When I'm ready to evaluate my campaign, I can flip over to the Performance tab and see what promotion efforts were the most successful at getting people into my landing page. I can drill down at individual channels or look at them all collectively. But let's go back to that contacts view. Here's where we tie into the contacts database. By clicking on the name of somebody that's come through our landing page, we can then go over and see a full 360-degree view of their experiences with our company. Here you can see that Mr. Ali found us through social media, specifically through LinkedIn. You can also track every other interaction from email to their life cycle stage or where they are in the decision process, all the way down to Salesforce syncs. If you look down here in social media, you'll see that that click-through is also registered in our social media account, so we can keep track of how often he's engaged with us on social media. Now let me pause here for a moment, because the contacts view is probably the most important view in HubSpot. Let me tell you why. Good inbound marketing is about two things: creating useful, interesting content that pulls people into your website, and then adapting to their interests and needs as they change so that you can help pull them through their decision process. It's one thing to understand all of the interests and experiences of a lead, but it's much better to be able to act on that information. Contacts database allows you to segment off of any field within the profile. Everything from how they first discovered you, to their most recent download, to custom fields like their birthday or a favorite ice cream flavor, and finally to where they are in the decision process. So you can send different content to someone at the beginning of their decision versus someone who's much closer to making a call. But let's get back to promoting this fabulous ebook of mine. The first thing I'll do is send an email about my ebook. This works much like landing pages. It's easy and integrated into all the other tools. The templates have been tested and they work great on mobile and other devices. We've talked a lot about personalization, and that doesn't end at email. In email, you can personalize by not just things like first name, but also by anything in your contact's profile. So things like company name or their sales rep. Anything that you can use to make your email a more relevant and personal experience to read. Next, I'm going to write a nice search engine optimized blog. You'll notice at the bottom of my blog, I've got a CTA that leads directly to the landing page I already created. But what happens if Mr. Ali comes back after he's already read that ebook? we automatically show him a different CTA that's more relevant to where he is in his decision process. Let's hop over to the Smart CTA Builder and I'll show you how I did that. In the Smart CTA Builder, I'm able to pick a default CTA that everybody sees. But by adding a smart rule, I can show a different CTA based on where someone is in their life cycle or decision process. Here you can see that all leads get a different CTA than everybody else. But what's cool is this isn't just restricted to CTAs or to life cycle stages. Here you can see I've made a default homepage image for anyone coming to our site. But then, based on their contact profile, I can change the image if you're in the healthcare industry, or the manufacturing industry, or any of our other primary segments. That's personalized marketing. How cool is that? I'm using dynamically changing CTAs to promote my ebook on dynamic content. Speaking of promotion, I've got a bit more promotion to do. I've done a blog post, I've sent an email, I've built my landing page, I've got dynamically changing CTAs and images on my web page. Everything is clicking and now I need some social media. So I'm going to go over to my social media tool. I'm going to very easily, quickly create a message and schedule it to go out throughout the week. I can create my message for Facebook. I can attach pictures like that. I can send it out over Twitter. I can even post it to my own personal LinkedIn page if I want. And because everything's integrated, you'll see along the right side, I can pull landing pages and blogs directly into this tool. Now I'm going to have HubSpot suggesting times for me based on the research they've done about what works best. If I want to create my own custom schedule, I can do that too. Alright, well that's being sent out. Let's look at some of the other tweets that I shared over the last week. The ebook is part of a larger campaign on HubSpot 3, and here's a tweet that I sent out earlier this week about HubSpot 3 as a whole. This is a detail page where I can see all the people who interacted with that tweet on Twitter. I can follow them straight from here or unfollow them if I want to and see all their follower accounts. But here's where this gets really cool. Because HubSpot's social media tool is tied into our contact database, I can also see all of the leads and customers that I already know who decided to click on that link. That's really powerful because that tells me they're interested in HubSpot 3. I can now save them to a list for further nurturing on the same topic. There we go. And now that they're on a list, a whole world is opened up. Here's an example of a list in HubSpot. You can click on any of the names in the list and go directly to their profile to see how they first came in and their 360-degree view. In HubSpot, there are static lists and there are smart lists. You create a smart list by setting some characteristics, and then those rules will always continually grow your list over time. So if we want to know who of our contacts have a follower count of more than 1,000 and have at least clicked one of our shares on Twitter, we can save them to an always adapting list of Twitter influencers. Well, let's go back to that list of people interested in HubSpot 3. Because they're interested in HubSpot 3, I can now add them to a workflow which will automate messages and other things based on their interest in HubSpot 3. It's just one more way I can tailor my marketing to the individual to make it more personal. Let's pause for a minute to remember why we're doing this. Workflows allows our entire company to rotate around the lead's interests and where they are in the buying process. So everything from our emails, to our sales calls, to our homepage, remember, and all of our landing pages, with workflows and with smart lists can now bend around the interests and needs of our leads, which is really what enables us to make marketing that people can really love. So as a final step of my campaign, I'll show you how to make workflows. The first thing to do is to add a step that will happen when a certain trigger hits. So say for example, somebody downloads my dynamic content ebook, or say they expressed interest in HubSpot 3. We can immediately send them an email that relates to the topic they were interested in. This is what a lot of people think of as traditional marketing automation. We can space that email out over time and make sure it's tailored. But in addition to that, we can also do things like increment a property value in their contact profile. So we can change their score by 10 points if we think that that's a sign that someone's a good lead. We can also do things like send a notification email to somebody on staff who you think is really interested. In this case, I want to be notified anytime somebody clicks on a social share about HubSpot 3. So I'm going to put my own email in there. Finally, like traditional automation, you can set up a drip over time and add in a time delay or a couple of different time delays to make sure that you're spacing out your marketing to match their purchase cycle. Alright, so let's recap. In a little over 10 minutes, I've created an entire integrated marketing campaign. I put a compelling offer on a landing page that was dynamic, that adapted to mobile, that has integrated analytics and is tied into social media. I created an email campaign that's based on that landing page. I created a blog post that's based on that offer and was able to use a dynamic smart CTA to adapt the calls to action to whoever's looking at that page. I shared my campaign on social media and was able to see which of my existing contacts and customers and leads are clicking through on that. I was able to save people who I know are interested in HubSpot 3 into a list and a workflow that we know will send them the right content at the right time through the right medium from this point forward. And I'm able to measure all of this right from one portal without ever having to log in to a bunch of different tools. But more important than what I was able to do in 10 minutes is the experience moving forward that I just lined up for all of the leads who come in through that offer. From this point forward, their experience with my company is going to be custom made just for them. It's going to be personalized and it's going to grow with their interests over time. So that is my walkthrough of HubSpot. I hope you enjoyed it. I thank you for staying with me throughout my entire campaign. And now that I am wrapped up, I think I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee. If you want, you can always talk more with somebody about how HubSpot can help your company by going to HubSpot.com/demo or calling us at 888-HubSpot.